We've got a sexual harassment firing at a university that has been upheld. The guy did not think that he had been, I guess, adjudicated correctly. But he's a pretty bad guy, it turns out. So we're going to give you details on him. This is Robert Amann, formerly a university professor at Slippery Rock University, which that just sounds weird. I don't know about Slippery Rock. Look, it sounds, I guess, I don't know.
Perverted in a way?
Yeah, a little bit. No. It's supposed to make you think of nature and like being out in a stream in the forest, but it just makes me think of disgusting stuff. But anyway, so previously he had been at a Madrid bar. He was doing like what's it called, chaperoning basically for I guess a trip or a study abroad. And so he got drunk with some of the students, and he said a few things that were questionable. So he asked his students about their number of sexual partners and said he had slept with more than 100 people, including 5 after he was married. Classy. And the students were later reported also that night, when one of them asked Amann who his favorite student was, he answered that another female student would have been his favorite if she sucked his dick. Mm-hmm. To a crowd of his students. That's what he said to them. And so he was later approached by the dean. He characterized what he said as trash talk and not sexual harassment. And so eventually, they had an arbitrator come in, and they said that he had been wrongfully terminated. He got his job back. And then eventually that was overturned by the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania just a couple of weeks ago. And so I think, personally, considering what he said, yeah, that seems like sexual harassment. You can't talk that explicitly with your students.
Yeah, and also you're talking about a specific student and the sexual acts that she carried out with you. And, oh, well, she didn't go down on me. She didn't suck my dick. I mean, it's too much. It goes way too far.
Yeah, and
I think a lot of times with sexual harassment cases, people will be way too sensitive. So let's say there's a group of guys in the office watching something that's like explicit or pornographic in nature, and a woman just happens to walk by. Some people might argue that that's sexual harassment. In fact, when I was at CBS Radio, that was considered sexual harassment. Yeah. Don't watch the porn in the office, okay? Watch it on your smartphone when you're in the bathroom or something. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I guess some women might be offended by that, but just like look away and move on, man. They're not like forcing you to watch. So I feel like sexual harassment is now like all encompassing. Like it includes way too much. And this is an example of real sexual harassment.
Yeah, because the idea is like that it's not that he's saying it to that student, like, you should have sucked my dick. He's saying it to other students, and other female students are hearing that, and then in the back of their mind they're thinking, oh, well, I guess he's like saying you should do this sort of thing, or else you're not going to get good grades either, or be my favorite. Like, it sets up a hostile environment, which is the whole problem. And so the reason that we're spotlighting this particular case is not because we've got some kind of vendetta against Robert Amann Jr. For all I know, other than these questionable actions, including in 2006 when he apparently sexually harassed students as well, maybe he's a great guy. That's perfectly fine. But I think that cases like this are going to become more common because, especially with social media, the boundaries between professors and their students are falling away to some extent. Like, they can look you up on Facebook, they can follow you on Twitter and things like that. And I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing. I think that the professors who want to be the young, cool, hip professor who hangs out with the students, they'll like that. And I know that when I was a TA, I would look up girls to see what they look like. But it's not necessarily, and I never acted on it, except when I acted on it. And I don't think that that's a good thing necessarily. And so I wouldn't be surprised if more of these cases happened.
I had this one really hot journalism professor at Valley College.
Yeah. Did he ever try to make anything happen?
No. Very professional. He was married, blah, blah, blah. And I was also underage. I took his class when I was like 15. Yeah. And I was like, oh, he's so sexy.
Yeah.
I hope he looked me up.
Jailbait?
No.
Ah, 15? You weren't even... You're just jailbait. You're not even like barely legal or anything.
No, I'm jailbait. No, and I never acted on anything, but I had a huge crush on him, and it was because like...
How old was he?
And he loved my articles. He's like, you're a good writer.
He just wanted to caress your articles.
No, he didn't. He honestly, he has no idea that I had a crush on him. I never acted on it. He never gave me any indication that he was into it or like, nothing.
Yeah,
but I just remember like my internal emotions and like how I just
Your blossoming womanhood.
Anyway, that was random. I didn't even need to share that, but he was my very first journalism professor.
Yeah.
Good looking guy.
Yeah.
Get it.
God, okay, so I make the jokes about when I was a TA, but I did have a couple of female students sort of, not necessarily proposition me, but I had one ask me out a couple of times, like, oh, you should go to a football game with me and stuff like that. And like, so instantly I have the war of like, I want to be a responsible, respected academic, and I won't allow the lines to be blurred, versus, Ooh, she's pretty young and pretty. So, as a guy, I think that's difficult. And look, we expect professors to be responsible. Like, you're an adult. You should be responsible. But it is difficult. If, like, the guy's, like, 40 years old and there's this hot 19-year-old who seems kind of available, there's, like, millions of years of evolution saying, go for it, John. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a rough battle. That continues
Great
to be
way to
waged.
justify your actions.
Yeah. I didn't go to the football
I
game.
know, just calm
I
down.
did eventually hook up with her, but it was like a year and a half after she was my student. So it doesn't even count at that point.
Okay.
I feel fine now.